Good evening to everyone. Hey, I thought it was me and God just sitting in here. I didn't hear none of y'all, maybe 3 people. And I seen a whole bunch. I like to hear people. Oh, okay. The Detroit City Council evening community meeting will come to order, and if the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Ayers. Councilmember Benson.
Scott Benson, aye.
Councilmember Castieda-Lopez. Councilmember Leland.
Present.
Councilmember McAllister.
Present.
Councilmember Spivey.
Just so you know, I'm going to go for
Councilmember Tate.
foreclosure report.
Council President Pro Tem Sheffield.
President, I'm going to go.
Council President Jones.
Present.
Madam President, you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Having a quorum present, we will be in session. Just to note that Councilmember Ayers did indicate that she would be absent for tonight's evening community meeting. Can you all hear me? No. See, now y'all know how I felt. Can you hear me now? Okay. I did indicate that Councilmember Ayers indicated that she would not be present for the evening community meeting. And we will be in session. If you have not received a public comment card and you would like to make public comments, please raise your hand, and someone from my staff will bring you a public comment card to speak during public comments. For tonight, okay, we'll have someone bring you a card. For tonight, our invocation will be done by Reginald Best, who is the pastor of the Elmwood Park Church of Christ, and if you will come to us in your own way.
Thank you, Council President Jones, for the introduction, and certainly thank you, Council President Pro Tem Sheffield, for the invitation to be here. I appreciate the work that you do in our district, District 5. I appreciate the invitation to provide a brief invocation. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all of the blessings you've given us. Father, we ask your blessings upon the city of Detroit. Father, we just pray your blessings upon every citizen here. Father, we're lifting up this city council. We're asking that you give them the wisdom of Solomon and the courage of Peter to be able to make the right decisions as they deliberate for that which is best on behalf of the citizens. Father, continue to bless them, bless this meeting. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, and also just to indicate that Minister Best is one of the chaplains for the City of Detroit Police Department, and so we appreciate all that you do. We will now have a welcome by Mr. Williams, who is the founder of this great location we're in, as well as the foundation.
Well, thank you on behalf of the Horatio Williams Foundation. I would like to thank everyone for coming out, thanking City Council, all the members here, and just let you guys know this is a safe haven for the community, so the doors are open whenever you guys want to have a meeting, or we have tutoring programs down here. The doors are just open, so I just want to thank everybody for coming out.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for allowing us to be in your space and use up your electricity. And thank you for welcoming us. I would now like to acknowledge our City Council staff, and I will begin with my staff. If you will stand or raise your hand. And okay. Council President Pro Tem Mary Sheffield staff. Councilmember Scott Benson staff. Councilmember Castaneda-Lopez staff. Councilmember Gabe Leland staff. Councilmember Andre Spivey's staff, Councilmember James Tate's staff, Councilmember Roy McAllister Jr.'s staff, our Legislative Policy Division, and any other departments that are present. Did I miss anyone? Did I miss anyone? Any? Okay, any other departments present? Any elected officials? Okay, thank you so very much. Did everyone who was here to ask for a public comment card receive a public comment card? If you didn't receive one, can you raise your hand again? Okay. If you just raise it up, someone will collect it. I will be cutting off public comment cards shortly, so if you would like to make public comments, please raise your hand and someone will bring you a card. And if you have a public comment card to turn in, if you can just raise it up and someone will collect it. Thank you. I know we have someone from the Census who wanted to do a short presentation. If you come to the mic. Okay, if you can just give your name and talk about what's coming up and how important it is.
Yes, my name is Gina Bunn-Hector, and I am your data dissemination specialist. Most of us here are fully aware that we have the 2020 coming up, and the urgency of and the importance and impact of participating in the census. I can't begin to expand on how impacting it is for our communities. Specifically, there is $675 billion allocated for federal funding for our communities. We can say it's not all about money, but there's apportionment that we're looking at. There's redistricting. There's the representation across the board. And the bottom line is children 5 years and under are historically undercounted. So what I'm here today to share is that, for one, I am your resource. Your tax dollars pay for my service. And whether it's your community, a business you're trying to start, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to leave flyers out there. But my push today and my concern is to say that participating in the 2020, we can't afford not to. Every individual counts. And as an example, as I said, children 5 years and under are historically undercounted. If one person is not counted, there's been a number put out there, approximately $1,800. If we take one of our communities, 500 children, you can come up with 500 children like this. And those 500 children, that would equate to $900,000. 500 children at $1,800, and whatever comes out of this, we're stuck with it for 10 years. all of our communities. And 10 years down the road, we're looking at $9 million over a period of time that could have been used to help our communities develop, to help grants get into play, to help all the initiatives, whether it's the roads, our churches, our neighborhoods. So again, I'm a resource here for you. Please feel free to reach out to me if you would like me to share the message with your community, or if you would like to learn more about tapping into that data, again, which is a free resource for you. Thank you. Thank you.
And you asked them to reach out to you. How can they contact you?
I will leave flyers out there, but my name is Gina Bunn Hector. My contact number, 313-969-8571. And my email address is rather long, but it's JEANA.D as in Delta, B as in boy, UNN, Hector. That's H, E as in Echo, C as in Charlie, T as in Tango, OR, @census.gov. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Okay, we will now move to our District 5 President Pro Tem Sheffield, who will take the floor for a few minutes.
Testing. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here with you all, and I'm going to be kind of brief because we do have a presentation from Bernadette, who I want to have enough time to share her extensive research on foreclosures, because that is the focus for today. And so I want to start off giving an update on the People's Bills. A lot of you all may or may not be familiar with the People's Bills. It is a legislative agenda that I launched about 3 or 4 months ago now to really lift the voices of the people and the issues that I've been hearing in the community, and try to address some of the socioeconomic issues that continue to plague some of the residents in the city of Detroit. And so that is what the People's Bills are. I want to thank all of the organizations that played a role in creating the People's Bills. This was not something that I just came up with. This is extensive research that was done by several organizations and people who we worked with to draft what these particular bills would be. And so here is just kind of an overview of some of the People's Bills, because we cannot fit all of them on here, and this is a working document. We get calls all the time from organizations who would like to add different issues on this, and so we're still working on adding additional issues. But here is an overview of some that I think are important to mention today. Thus far, we have passed the Property Tax Assistance Program ordinance, the Residential Parking Ordinance, the Housing Trust Fund allocation, the Home Repair allocation, the Homeless Bill of Rights resolution. We were not able to do an ordinance, so we did a resolution. Cash bill reform, which I'm very passionate about, but on the local level, we're only able to do a resolution. Currently in progress, we have a 51% local hiring ordinance, which we'll talk about. Water affordability is still in progress. Parking fine grace period is in progress as well, too. NEZ amendments, community benefits amendments, community control over police surveillance, right to counsel, foreclosure compensation, and affordable housing amendments. And so this, again, is a high-level kind of overview of most of the People's Bills that we are currently working on or that has already passed. And so the poverty tax exemption ordinance did pass already. It was passed on November 2018. Yes, that is a huge, huge success. We partner with the Coalition to End Unconstitutional Tax Foreclosure. And just so you all know, roughly 40,000 people in 2016 qualified to have their property taxes abated if they live below the federal poverty line. A vast majority of those individuals did not apply because they did not know the program existed or because the process was too burdensome. And so we, with the ordinance, tried to eliminate barriers to entry for this particular program, and it was approved. The one outstanding thing that we did not get removed was the notary, but I know that we will continue to fight that issue to get that removed. The Housing Trust Fund. So we heard a lot from the community. You all came down in numbers talking about the need to fund the fund. And so during this past budget season, we were able to get the seated amount allocated to this fund, which was $2 million, which takes the pot to $3.6 million. What I love about this particular fund is that it actually addresses the most vulnerable residents in the city of Detroit, and those are individuals that are below 50% area median income, with a huge focus on 30% AMI. And so that's why I am very passionate about this fund. And then also with the FCA deal that was approved today, an additional $3.6 million, roughly $3.6 million will be allocated to this fund as well, too, to address the needs of housing. The parking ticket grace period. So a lot of you all probably remember seeing this in the news. This was probably one of the highlights from the People's Bills. I was talking about how I wanted to see a reduction of the parking tickets from $45 to $20 to go back to pre-bankruptcy levels. And so unfortunately, there was not much of an appetite seeing the fiscal impact that it would have on the budget. And so we tried to work around a way that we could still bring some relief to residents. And so what we did, after hearing that 70% of the tickets are actually issued to suburban residents, not Detroiters, and the argument was, why would we give suburban residents a discount versus Detroiters? And so we were passionate about making sure that we went back and provided relief. And so we researched other cities, and we found that we can actually apply the discount to just Detroiters. And so our compromise was that we will have a 50% reduction on your parking ticket if you are a Detroit resident and you pay your parking ticket within 5 days. That is the compromise where it does not make a huge fiscal impact on the budget. And I think that I will hopefully have the support of my colleagues. And then also Council President Brenda Jones is sponsoring this with me because she has been working on this as well for a couple of years. So that is forthcoming. We actually set the public hearing today for that. 51% local hiring ordinance. This is my favorite one out of all the People's Bills. We have learned so much in studying this particular ordinance. Several cities have it currently in place. Essentially what it does is it requires that 51% of Detroit residents are hired on city-funded contracts over a certain threshold, and also development projects over a certain threshold. The thing about this ordinance that I want to highlight is that it goes above and beyond developers or contractors actually paying into a fee, or excuse me, a fund if they cannot reach that goal. We try to address the issue of the shortage by creating a mentorship protege program that the state currently utilizes, and we're also looking at ways in which developers can submit a detailed workforce plan to ensure their outreach efforts to actually hire Detroiters. And so we are very, very passionate about this, and there is a draft currently in place now, and we're still working on trying to get this before City Council. The community benefits amendments, again, this is something that I've heard from community that they would love to see amended. This is not just from community, but it's also from individuals that have served on NACs and said that they would like to see this process amended. And so my office submitted a memo requesting that we revisit the community benefits process to see how we can make it better. And so some of the things that we're considering right now is lowering the threshold from 75 million to 50 million, increasing the number of mandatory meetings that a developer must hold, and then also requiring that essential documents be submitted within 48 hours to the NAC during the negotiations. The neighborhood enterprise zones, something that we have been working on for quite some time. Oftentimes in the community, I hear residents say, can we have an abatement as well too? What about our property taxes? We oftentimes give abatements to developers, but we would like relief on our property taxes as well too. And outside of the poverty exemption or property tax exemption program, this is one of the only other tools that we have to allow relief for homeowners in the city of Detroit. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is go back, reassess the current NEZs, where they are, where they're not being utilized, and see how we can reshift some of those into areas where there's strong home ownership and allow property tax relief for residents in the city of Detroit. And this is roughly about a 20% property tax abatement for residents. And Councilmember Benson has also been working on this, and hopefully we can have a combined map that we can present to council. Community control over police surveillance. This is something that's very, very important. A lot of you probably are aware that the city of Detroit is increasing the amount of surveillance technology that will be deployed in Detroit. Here's an article from Metro Times that states that researchers are alarmed by Detroit's pervasive, expanding facial recognition surveillance program. And so essentially what we're doing with this ordinance is trying to create a robust community engagement process and ensuring that proper information, documentation, and data is submitted to council before any approval and or rejection of surveillance technology happens in the city of Detroit. And then water affordability is something that we will continue to fight for. This is a picture here at U of M. The Gerald Ford School of Public Policy actually had the People's Bills as one of their courses, and they took up water affordability. They did extensive research on it, and they had their findings. I won't go through this in detail, but I will say their conclusion is that we can have, and we should have, an income-based water affordability plan in the city of Detroit, and we will continue to fight for that. Have to give you all a quick update on home repair. $1 million was added this budget season to increase the overall amount to $2.5 million. The fiscal year starts July 1. Just to FYI that there are currently 2,403 people that are on the waiting list as of now. And so just want you all to be aware if you do call and try to get added to the list or you do not receive an immediate call back, there are people waiting on that list. And then the People's Tour. So in conjunction with the People's Bills, we have launched the People's Tour. And we are going from neighborhood to neighborhood, community to community, block club, nonprofit organizations, churches, wherever people invite me to talk more and to hear more about your concerns and your issues. We've already been invited into several homes and would love to hear more about the issues that you all have. And if you want to learn more about the People's Bills as well, too, please contact our office and we will come to any area that you all will invite me. To have an understanding of what you all hold inside of you, that you all can make change right here in the city of Detroit. So just wanted to show this clip really quick. This is our 6th State of the Youth. We have traveled to 6 high schools in District 5. I think that was the last one right here. That was the last high school. So we have traveled to every high school in District 5 to put on a panel to talk about education, entrepreneurship, civic engagement. And I have made it a mission to travel to every high school throughout the entire city to make sure our youth know that their voice matters and really to address the issues that are impacting our young people. And lastly, just save the date, Saturday, June 8th, is Gun Violence Awareness Month, and we will be hosting a press conference and rally. Looking forward to people to attend that. And then lastly, the biggest event that District 5 puts on is Occupy the Corner. Is anybody familiar with Occupy the Corner? That is our community resource and empowerment program. And here's a picture with Big Sean in the audience this last year, who joined us last year. And we are excited to announce that he will be joining us again this year for our finale. So save the date for June 21st for our kickoff. Location is to be determined. And then our finale is August the 17th at the Boys and Girls Club on Tireman with special guest Big Sean. And that is it. Thank you all for listening to the presentation. We did submit a packet that you all can go through as well, too.
Okay. Thank you so much, President Pro Tem. And now we will have a foreclosure report by our Wayne State University law professor.
going through the largest municipal bankruptcy in American history, right? And so the assessment division didn't have the capacity to adjust assessments to their legal limits. And so just to make sure we're all on the same page as I go through this presentation, how is our property tax bill calculated? Well, it's your assessed value minus qualifying exemptions like poverty tax exemption, senior, et cetera, times the property tax rate. Before I started my research, there was a significant amount of research already done on the property tax rate in Detroit, which is the highest in Michigan and the third highest in the United States. There also was some work done on assessment and equity, but when we came in to do our initial study, we were the first study that moved beyond issues of assessment and equity to issues of illegality. I'm a law professor, so I'm concerned with legality. And the first question we asked are not only are these property tax assessments inequitable, but are they in fact in violation of the Michigan State Constitution, which as you can see here says no property should be assessed at more than 50% of its market value. This rule is really clear in legislation, case law. There's really no question about it. So what we did is we did something called an assessment ratio study, which is how assessors, taxpayers, appeal boards determine property tax assessment and equity. And it's a simple calculation of assessed value over sales price. And since the law says it should not be above 50%, right here it can't be above 0.5. So what I want you to know about these numbers, this is all just to say all the numbers I'm about to present to you are the most conservative estimates, right? Look here. Oh, the bottom is not showing. Oh, there you go. The total number of transactions in the study was just over 141,000. We only used 6,000 of those numbers. Why? Because we only include in our study what we call arm's length transactions. But legally, we're allowed to include all transactions because non-arm's length transactions are the norm. If you didn't understand that, don't worry. The point is, what I'm about to present to you is the most conservative estimates of illegality here in Detroit. What did we find? We found that between 2009 and 2015, in each of those 7 years, anywhere between 55 and 85% of properties were being assessed in violation of the Michigan Constitution. My God. And then when we broke up the data into what we call 5 quintiles, as you can see here, quintile 1 is homes, the lowest valued homes, all the way to quintile 5. You can see that. Our second finding is, look at here, in quintile 1 and 2, meaning the lowest valued homes, 95% or more of those homes are being assessed in violation of the Michigan Constitution. But when you get to the highest valued homes, only about 16% of those homes are being assessed in violation of the Michigan State Constitution. Why is that? Because when you protest taxes in Detroit during this period, you win, right? Because they were largely wrong. But who protests their taxes? People who have access to lawyers, people who have, a college education, who kind of know how to navigate this really difficult system. And so it's exactly the homeowners in Detroit who can least afford to be over-assessed who are bearing the burden of these unconstitutional property tax assessments. All right, so that's the first question. And this really builds on the wonderful work. I should start by just thanking Councilwoman Mary Sheffield, Pro Tem Sheffield, for her amazing work on this issue of property tax, and so many people at this table as well. So that's what I just presented to you is in addition to the issue of the property tax assessment, the property tax exemption, which we know if you are under the federal poverty line, you qualify for the poverty tax exemption. So in Detroit, we have a situation, just to be very clear, where number one, people are being assessed in violation of the Michigan Constitution. This leads to illegally inflated property taxes that people cannot afford to pay, so they're being evicted from their homes, foreclosed upon, at record historic numbers for property taxes they weren't supposed to be paying in the first place. My God. So the second issue I wanted to look at is the issue of race, because if you do research in Detroit and you don't think about race directly, you're doing everybody a disservice. So the next question I wanted to ask is, are the predominantly African-American cities in Wayne County being unconstitutionally assessed and foreclosed upon at a greater rate than the predominantly white cities? And so this is an easy question to ask in Wayne County because of the 43 municipalities, 33 have a supermajority white, meaning 70% or more, and 3 have a supermajority black. So this level of segregation is horrible for the world, great for me as a professor, because I can do a study that says, there are white cities and black cities in Wayne County. So what did I find? As you can see here, these are the foreclosure numbers. Highland Park, Detroit, right through the roof in terms of numbers of foreclosure. The only city that has is in the top 6 is Hamtramck. And if you know anything about Hamtramck, although it's a majority white city, it's vulnerable immigrant Arabs, right? So we know that the majority African American cities are facing the property tax, record numbers of property tax foreclosures. I want to just explain this to you. What we also know is, what the first column I want you to understand is cities that are doing what they're supposed to do, meaning assessing you at the constitutional limit, no more than 50% of the market value. And then in the third column is gross illegality, is when they're assessing you at over 60% of the market value. What's interesting about this chart is the first cell, which shows you all of the cities who are doing what they're supposed to do have a population of African Americans that's less than 1/3. All the cities that have a supermajority of African Americans are in the gross illegality category. So we can say with confidence that the predominantly African American cities in Wayne County are being subject to foreclosures and unconstitutional tax assessments at a greater rate than the predominantly white cities. So what I need you to understand is this is just the latest, this is called structural racism, just so we're very clear. And this is the latest chapter in a long history of structural racism that starts with racially discriminatory, racial zoning, racially discriminatory covenants, urban renewal, predatory lending, the list goes on and on. The third and final question that I explore, because I'm sensitive to time, is there's lots of things, guys, that cause foreclosure, right? What are some of the things that cause foreclosure? You lose your job. What else? Health, poverty, medical bills, right? So the real trick in this third study is holding all those things constant so we can measure the effect of unconstitutional assessments on foreclosure rates. And what we were able to find is that of all tax foreclosures, 10% would not have happened but for these unconstitutional tax assessments. And when we limit our analysis just to that bottom quintile, remember earlier I showed you that bottom quintile, almost all, over 95% of those were being unconstitutionally assessed. When we limit it to just that bottom quintile, we're able to say 25% of homes would not have gone into property tax foreclosure but for these unconstitutional property tax assessments. So what do we do about this? In response to this research, we formed the Coalition to End Unconstitutional Tax Foreclosures, which is a coalition of 12 different grassroots organizations here in Detroit, and we have 3 demands. Number 1, that we stop these unconstitutional property tax assessments. Number 2, that no owner-occupied home be foreclosed upon until we can be certain that they were not subject to unconstitutional property tax assessments. And number 3, to provide some compensation to people who were unconstitutionally assessed and then kicked out of their homes. We can't have a situation where you have empirically proven, unconstitutional assessment. People talking about some oops. No, there's no oops. We need some compensation. Okay. So how can you help? The call for City Council is, number 1, we're calling on the Chief Assessor, Alvin Horn, to perform an across-the-board assessment cut for the low-valued homes. Because the good news is that in January of 2017, the city of Detroit finally did a parcel-by-parcel reassessment for all residential homes, and things got better. Thank you, God, right? But we redid the study, and we found that low-valued homes are still being systematically unconstitutionally assessed. And so we want the assessor and that's not because anyone is a bad person. It's just really difficult. In Detroit, we have homes worth $500, $1,000, $5,000. That's not normal in terms of the housing market in other cities, and it's extremely hard to find the true market value of those homes. So what we're saying is we want an across-the-board cut for all of these low-valued homes because the evidence says they are still being overassessed. So we're calling on the chief assessor to do this across-the-board assessment cut. The second is City Council has been doing a wonderful job exercising their right of first refusal to save owner-occupied homes from the tax foreclosure auction. They need a hand for that, actually. And we're asking them to continue exercising their right of first refusal to pull out these owner-occupied homes from the foreclosure auction. And third, and definitely not least, Pro Tem Mary Sheffield is put together a committee where she's investigating how and if compensation for Detroiters is possible, bringing together foundations, corporations, et cetera, to really start seriously exploring this question of compensation. And when the committee comes with their findings, we're calling on City Council to act upon those findings when they do come out. So with that, I will stop. I'll be in the hallway afterwards if anyone wants to ask any questions, and not now. And also, I want to say also this presentation, obviously I had to be very quick because this is a public meeting, but if you would like for your organization, for me to come or any of my students to come and give this presentation, part of any injustice is it continues because people don't know about it. And so my job, and you know, there's a lot of injustice in this world, but it's very rare where that injustice is so clearly illegal. And that's what we're dealing with here in Detroit with these inflated property tax assessments. So it's really incumbent upon each and every one of us to get the word out about this injustice so we can work collectively to do something about it. This is going to be one of those moments in history. When we think about civil rights abuses, obviously in some of the most severe civil rights abuses happening right now are in the criminal justice system. But as far as those civil rights abuses happening in housing, what's happening right here in Detroit with the property tax foreclosure crisis is the most severe civil rights housing-related abuse happening in America. And 20 years from now, when you tell your children and your grandchildren, they're going to ask you, what did you do, Mama? What did you do, Daddy? What did you do, Grandma, Grandpa, about this problem that was occurring when you were living? And you're going to need to be able to tell that your grandchild, your child, what you did to stop this injustice. And so I'll just stop there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for that presentation. We are now going to move to the part of the agenda where there is public comment, and I am going to cut off public comment cards. Okay, thank you. And have quite a few cards. I am going to give each person a minute and a half of their public comments. And I am going to Sarah Cobb. Is Sarah Cobb here present? Sarah Cobb. Maureen Dristan. Okay, they made public comments. I will read their public comments as we go through. Larry Verse. If you come up. And you will have a minute and a half. And if everyone can please follow the timekeeper with the time, because I have quite a few cards. Mr. Verse, you may begin.
Okay. Well, for the record, my name is Larry Donald. Is this on? Can I be heard? Good. And let's say I'm representing myself as well as a bunch of bus riders on behalf of Detroit People's Platform Transit Justice Team. And I see bus riding as connected to employment, which is connected to housing, which is connected to, obviously, foreclosures in this. And the problem as I see it is the bus system isn't working right yet. It's improved significantly from what it once was at the bottom. However, it needs a whole lot of work still. And one of the things it really needs is what I would call a low-income fare. For those people who are below the poverty line, who work, and some who don't work, those on SSI who get less than $1,000 or $900 a month who ride the bus. Really, they should get it. And when it comes to employment and the people that I say y'all give money to, I think also you should require them to have a benefit program for the people that they hire, that they provide a means for them to ride public transportation, be it they get a tax break or something from it, but they should be able to provide that service to those that they employ. And the bottom line is, as the bus system increases and ridership increases because of low income, they will get more money from the feds because the overwhelming majority. Time is up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. John Blackwell, if you can come up toward the front when I call your name so that we can move as rapid as possible. John Blackwell, followed by Lonnie Moorhead. John Blackwell here. Lonnie Moorhead. Sarah Cobb again. Renard Monsonsky.
All right. For some reason it's not picking up my voice. I'm just going to project.
No, you have to use the mic.
Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. My name is Renard Monsonsky. I'm a transit justice organizer with Detroit People's Platform. And I want to thank the Honorable Council President and President Pro Tem and honorable members for having this space this evening. I'm speaking in support of the People's Bills. Each of you should pass this. It's just common sense legislation, and it also signals to your constituents that you care about them, because these policies center the needs of residents in the city, especially those that are struggling or on low income as well, too. I'm here to speak also in support of an expansion of a reduced category for fares. We spoke to DDOT about this, and they seem to hear our concerns as well. People understand the fare structure, but the communication about that is not adequate as well, too. I have to explain myself the benefits of the restructuring. People may not like the increase, but they do like what they're getting with it. But that's not your fault. That is the department's fault. But I ask the council to please change or support an ordinance that will expand the reduced fare category to homeless individuals, returning citizens, unemployed individuals, or low-income individuals, and then veterans as well, too, who serve this country. They should have a discount. And fares do not fund the department. They only recover operation expenses, so you do not have to worry about the department collecting less fares. In fact, the more people who can afford fares, there will be more collection of it. But we need a low-income fare program to be part of the People's Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Pamela, UDEA. Okay. Pamela, okay. Followed by Tamika Willis.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you to our Honorable Council and Pro Tem Sheffield and the rest of the council members here. I'm Pam Odagwu. I'm the founder and president of Women, Children, and Families United. I came out in the spirit of love, peace, and unity to bring awareness to all of the crime, the violence, the brokenness, the poverty, the racial divisiveness. We are in a crisis. You know, we can build structures, we can, have the infrastructure in place, but unless we are loving and supporting each other and protecting our children, nothing else matters. And so our organization, our mission is to end poverty and oppression by, through the eradication of structural and systemic marginalization and discrimination, thus changing the systems that perpetuate poverty and oppression and uplifting our families by educating and empowering them out of their situations. Without no love, peace, and unity, there is no community. Together we can, we shall, and we must. Thank you.
Lonnie Moorhead, Tamika Willis. Tamika Willis.
Hello, my name is Tamika Willis, and I currently live in the Boston Edison Historical District. Oh, I'm sorry. We have an owner that purchased a property next door to me. This person has turned it into an illegal Airbnb in our section. The issues with the Airbnb are the noise, the loud music, the parties every weekend. Actually, they were preparing for a party as I was leaving today to come to the meeting, so it's not every weekend. The amount of people that come, there are approximately 40, 50, 60 people in this house at a time. I've had damage to my vehicle. My vehicle has been hit by one of the people at the Airbnb. The amount of cars that are on the property. We've had RVs that were parked outside on the street. We live in this neighborhood, and we can't park our RVs on the street, but the people are allowed to come from different states and different areas and do things that we aren't allowed to do in our own section of the city. We've had theft rate has increased. Vehicles have been stolen. The rims and tires have been taken off of people's vehicles because now more traffic is coming in the area, more high-profile vehicles are coming in the area. So the thieves are watching. They're paying very close attention, so it makes it difficult for us to even park our vehicles out on the street or in our driveway because now we have people that are constantly walking through the neighborhood all times of the day and night, and they're looking. And I have pictures of the trash because trash is all over the place. It's just a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare.
Oh. I'm sorry, Council President?
Nope, just my staff will get with you, madam. My staff will get with you to get additional information.
Billy Graves, Monica Redmond. Billy Graves here? Billy Graves?
Hello, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Billy Graves. I'm a longtime Detroit resident, and I really wanted to comment on the 51% of, 51% of employment for Detroit residents. And I'm just wondering how that system is going to be monitored because I live in this area and have lived here for a while. And I noticed there are a lot of people coming into the city. Are there any restrictions as to how long they have to live in Detroit? Are they actual residents before they get the jobs? Because there are many people coming in and being brought in to work on these things and saying they're Detroit residents, but they're only here as long as the projects and the contracts are in effect. So I'm just wondering, is it going to be monitored? Because that is going on. People are coming in and saying they're residents just to do the job.
Thank you for the question. So right now, the ordinance calls for a Detroit resident to be someone who moves into the city within 1 year. So if you are residing in the city for 1 year, you would be qualified as a Detroit resident. And then also, as far as the monitoring component of it, this budget season we did allocate additional funding to our Civil Rights and Inclusion Department that handles the monitoring of tax abatements and compliance with development projects. So we specifically laid out that we wanted to have additional people to monitor this particular ordinance and also development projects that receive tax abatements.
Okay, thank you. So much needed.
Thank you.
I don't think that's happening.
No, I agree. Thank you.
Monica Redmond, followed by Catherine Andruski.
Hello, council people.
Hello.
My name is Monica Redmond, and I too live in the Boston Edison area. Actually, I live across the street from the bed and breakfast. And my concern is that for years, even though I'm not a Detroiter, an original Detroiter, I have noticed how people from the suburbs come into the city, destroy the city. We get a bad rep, and they go home. It's just not right. That's it. Thank you.
Following Catherine Andruski is Kimberly Cantry.
Hello. I wanted to address the area that the incinerator now stands on. And I wanted to see if council has begun discussion of what the alternative use of that land will be. It is city-owned land, and I urge you that the city can hold a meeting with the community to discuss the potential use. Since that facility shut down, one of my neighbors has already died of lung cancer, and another neighbor just got kicked out of her home from the Detroit Land Bank. and they evicted her. And I would like to have that issue addressed, that the Detroit Land Bank Authority is evicting 76-year-old woman from her home that she lived in for 18 years. They had 11 dumpsters lined up outside of her home. And her personal belongings ended up in a pile. The stuff that she kept with her ended up in a pile, and she put it under a tarp 2 lots away from her house. And we all came out there to help her figure out what to do next. It's not right. They need to be stopped. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hold on for 1 minute. Land Bank, is the Land Bank here? Yes. Can you please step outside and talk to her, please? Sure. Thank you. If someone from my staff can join the conversation, thank you. Kimberly Cantry, followed by Dawad Abdurrahman.
I have 2 issues. One is with the schools. Martin Luther King, I heard a rumor that that school is going to be relocated because Dan Gilbert wanted to purchase that property. And the second thing is anyone here from planning that could answer that question, that there's some development to go on? And also, will Southeastern High School be demolished because of the expansion of Chrysler? And my second question is, now that we have legalized marijuana, a lot of my neighbors want to have cannabis parties at different locations. I'm a Morningside resident, and I'm really, really terrified that this is going to happen all over the city, where they have little weed parties and then they drive home and through the neighborhood high. I don't understand. Is there an ordinance against that, or is this something that this is allowed to happen? And I've been threatened because I said I didn't want to happen in my neighborhood. So it's really a problem.
Okay. I'm going to have someone from the law department talk to you. My law department is here, and that was in regards to the cannabis party. If someone from the law department can talk with her. And there was another question. The school closing. Is someone here for planning and development? Because that is not something that I have knowledge of. I can speak for myself. That is not something that I have knowledge. So if someone from planning and development can get with her, as well as someone from the law department, if you all can take her out of the room and please talk to her, I would appreciate it.
Quiet, please. Good evening, Council President and President Pro Tem. My name is Dr. Dawood Abdul-Rahman. I stay in the Atkinson Historic District. My concern is that I have maintained the property in that district for 20 years. City employees come by who are paid to cut the grass. I cut it. I don't get paid. They mess it up. They get paid. I have workers that come into our area that pour their big trucks on the lawn that I've maintained for 20 years. I brought all the equipment that is needed, me and my sons, and they tell me this is city property. The other concern that I have is that just this morning, I had to run out of my back door with my pajamas on to stop a guy from breaking into my car. 2 weeks ago, it was broke into. He went to Somerset to charge some $2,500 glasses, some $250 gym shoes, and Navy Federal called me and said that they stopped the purchase. I took pictures of the gentleman that I thought was there, and 10th Precinct and Melina Howard came to my home. We all had a meeting in the district. The other concern that I have is that we have people that are moving in homes where I've been in that area for 20 years. They're not maintaining their grass. Last Tuesday, 3 commercial lawnmower trucks, the big trucks that cut the fields, were going so fast, racing down the street, one poured up into the front of a lady's home and laughed. I got pictures on my phone. And he said, this is not going to hurt anything. So I like to have those concerns addressed.
So I'm going to ask the clerk if you would line item the concerns that this gentleman has addressed in regards to the parking of the vehicles on the city property, on the grass, to the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee, and the police issues. You said someone from the police department came out. Is that correct? Okay, and so that is probably still being handled by the police department if someone has been out.
The gentleman that was at Somerset, they have a video of him, and they said they would give it to the Detroit police, but no one has contacted me saying, well, I have pictures.
Okay.
I said, this is this guy.
Okay, so I'll also have someone from my staff get with you to get the information to get with the police department. So she's standing up. If you can, and we'll follow up with the Detroit Police Department. Brian Claiborne. Brian Claiborne here. John Woodward. Richard Stonick.
My name is Richard Stonick, and of course I've been to council meetings recently to help with the Housing Trust Fund, and I want to thank all council members for their help in what you guys did up to this point. I've got a matter today that's very personal to me. I'm a wheelchair-bound passenger of public transit, so that means that I use SMART and DDOT all the time. And one of the things that I've found is that transit's not really set up to handle wheelchair passengers very well. And it's the whole system. You can't buy a wheelchair that's specifically designed to go on public transit. You have to buy something that's not really made exactly to do the best job. So you're kind of stuck. And then you've got drivers that have an incredibly complex task where you've got all kinds of different wheelchairs. You've got, it's just impossible to hook them up and get it done right. So I've done some work on this. I've had problems and I've responded to the problems, and I'm hoping that I'm going to come up with a fix, and I'm going to try and enlist your support, at least with respect to DDOT and SMART. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Denise Lomack, followed by Gail Fulton.
Good evening to my queens and kings. I am Lady Denise Lomax, and one of the reasons why I'm here is about my community project. For those who don't know about my project, I'm in District 7. I'm between Plymouth down to Wyoming. I adopted a block, and it's called the Safe Haven Block. It's 5 houses on that block that I'm adopting from Land Bank, and I'm fixing them up as safe havens for the community and for the children. I'm servicing 2 schools, Noble and McKenzie, and in that area, there's nothing for these children to do, absolutely nothing. We have a park that has been put together right here by the old Parker School. It has 2 swings and a slide. You never see those kids at that park. So my concern is I've been asking for help with this project, and I haven't been getting any support. Where's my councilman? No support. None. None.
I heard you say, where's my council member? He did send notification that he would have to leave early. And so, is anyone still here from Member Leland's staff? Nope. Okay. If we will also get your information and see what we can do to assist you. Is there anyone here from Recreation? GSD? All right. Gail Fulton, followed by Angela Lugo Thomas. Gail Fulton, followed by Angela Lugo Thomas.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Gail Fulton, and I'm a 20-year-old master's candidate at Central Michigan University. and I work in the mayor's office as a city council liaison. In addition to the many resources you all have here tonight, there's a resource you may not know about located at your nearest public high school in the city, and even some high schools outside of the city, called dual enrollment. This program allows your high school age child to take college credits while they're still in high school, and when they graduate from high school, they can receive an associate's degree and potentially graduate from college early. I did that program, and it's benefited me in ways that I cannot imagine. I've saved money, over $40,000, and don't have a lot of student loans, thank goodness. But if your child is in high school ages 14 to 18 and their school offers dual enrollment, please encourage them to do it. At some high schools, they're thinking about taking the program out because not a lot of students are participating in it. And it's completely free, and you may have to buy a book or two, but the books are maybe $30. It's an investment worth making, so please encourage your high school age children to participate and tell their friends to join as well. Thank you.
Angela, followed by Michelle Whitmore.
Good evening. My name is Angela Lugo Thomas, and I'm a member of Belle Isle Concern. We believe that Belle Isle is a park, not a racetrack. We are holding a rally to protest the Grand Prix using a public park for their race. It will be this Saturday, May 25th, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. along Jefferson Avenue at the bridge. We encourage everyone to go to Belle Isle, even during this crazy setup time. But if you can't attend the rally, please follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group page, Belle Isle Park, Not Racetrack. And our website is belleisleconcern.com. And again, we need everyone to start to speak out against this occupation of our public park.
Michelle Whitmore, followed by Joanne Warwick.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Whitmore. Is that okay? My name is Michelle Whitmore. My concern and question is also about Airbnbs, and I want to know what the city's position is on Airbnbs. I live in New Center Commons, and we have several, in a condominium association, but we have several people who have bought units apparently as investors who use the Airbnbs to party and to they don't live there, they just rent them out to people. So we also have several, we have single women, we have connected buildings, we have common areas where people come in and they may not have a key to your unit, but they have the key to the unit next door. So, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you're hearing noises and people are maybe on the grass or smoking. We've just lived in a nice, quiet community for all this time, and it's really, really concerning and upsetting people. So I just wanted to know if this is something under consideration or what's being done about it.
Councilmember Benson.
Thank you for that concern. That's something that we experienced with the press and with Airbnbs, I believe, about 1.5 years ago. And so Councilwoman Ayers is submitting an ordinance around short-term rentals. And I believe that ordinance language currently errs on the side of the homeowners in the area, not the investors.
It's not just people with their brothers and sisters.
Yes, ma'am.
Following Joanne Warwick would be D'Amico Williams.
Yes, hello. I'm very happy you have Professor Bernadette Atuane here. There are more unconstitutional takings in this city than the unconstitutional tax foreclosures. I'd love to talk to Professor Atuane about it. And those unconstitutional takings are by the mayor and the Land Bank Authority through the nuisance abatement program. I'd say that unless there is illegal activity going on in a house and the owner is deliberately ignoring it when the land bank takes your property, not legal. Don't let them do it. I'll testify for you. Bruce Simpson has spoken out about this, and it'd be nice to see some people pay attention. And then, yeah, it has been disgusting that some people lose their homes and have lost their homes in this city for, say, $3,000 or so. Yet this body voted to give a 50% discount on land bank auction properties to city employees, contract employees, retirees, and their parents, siblings, and children, and other groups. And I was just wondering if anybody here can explain to us how that is fair to the rest of us when the city charter says you're supposed to ensure equality of opportunity. I do applaud you for the right of refusal, exercise the right of refusal to keep people in their homes. But when you voted to take 498 Peterborough and then, to the city, instead of let Cindy Dara get it for $25,000 and you gave it to Midtown Inc. for less than $3,000, that was really uncool. And then guess what Midtown Inc. did? Turned around and flipped it for $150,000. You really need to look into that, and Arthur Jameson and who's ever cutting those shady deals. Thank you.
D'Amico Williams, come on, Miss Warwick. Order. D'Amico Williams, followed by Tamika Scruggs.
Greetings to the honorable body of council. My name is D'Amico Williams. I am a citizen in this area. I am also the chief director of Hydrate Detroit. We are a 501c3 local water rights organization that provides emergency water and restoration to citizens in the city of Detroit with their water shut off. The first order of business, I would like for these letters to get to you guys in your hands. Can someone please pass these out? I'll get the other council members by mail. I'll make sure they get to the office. The first thing is that we need to come to a conclusion about these water shutoffs right now. This is becoming a dangerous situation. Again, I'm not going to go through another summer of water shutoffs and unaffordability. I demand that the people deserve water amnesty relief. Water amnesty relief is when you cut across the board, just as you would do the unconstitutional foreclosures, just as you would do parking tickets, just as you would do child support. You will have a time where people will come and pay out the final price, and you'll cut the arrearages, if not erase them, 50 to 70% off. And then the next thing is that we need to implement a water affordability plan. Subsidize water to where seniors, low-income people will not get their water shut off. The people have a right to expect city government to provide for its residents decent housing, excellence in education, job opportunities, reliable, convenient, and comfortable transportation, recreational facilities, and organized programs. If you all cannot provide those basic quality of life that we, the taxpayers, are paying for, then I'm going to have to do whatever legal means that there is.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I hope you all read those letters.
Tamika Scruggs, followed by Carlos.
Good evening. My name is Tamuk Scruggs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem.
And I know you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It happens all the time. I'm here in regards to a couple of issues. One is the working with individuals from the community to develop projects that aren't on the scale of FCA. I've been in contact with the Detroit Land Bank and other entities about trying to acquire some land for a four-wheeler park, but can't get any traction on that. We have countless incidents where we see the four-wheelers are out here, they need someplace safe to ride so that we don't have to have another incident that we had a few years back with another individual getting harmed or even killed. So I have a project, I have a plan. We have also talked about them being able to utilize those same bike lanes in the same spirit that Slow Road uses. So I'd love to be able to talk with somebody about this so that we can work out some things so that individuals from the community can benefit from some of this land that's being sold to other individuals that aren't quite the size of FCA and Dan Gilbert and the Illages.
Sir, really quick, excuse me, sir. I'm not sure where you were proposing to have that park at, but we can line item that for Neighborhood and Community Services Standing Committee and then get your information and follow up to see how the city can work with you on your proposed plans, okay? Thank you.
If the clerk would please line item that for neighborhood and community services, please.
Actually, I had it lined up from right on the backside of St. Jean, but they're tearing that down now because the 200 acres is broken.
Okay. Carlos?
Good evening, honorable body. I have a question. I would like to inquire about the shelter closings and residents in Genesis House 3. The residents there have less than 90 days to move. What resources are available? Oh, and I'm also speaking on behalf of Good Jobs Now.
I'm sorry, you were speaking on behalf of who?
Good Jobs Now.
Oh, Jobs Now. Okay, I'm not familiar with the Genesis facility closing. We do have a homeless task force where we meet monthly, and Ari from my staff runs that task force or assists with that task force. So if you're going to get with him and we can share any information that we have with you or look into it for you. But I'm not familiar with that facility closing.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Valina Patterson, did you want to speak?
Panel,
Good evening.
Council, and President. My question actually is, my name is Valina Patterson, and I have a ministry here on the east side of Detroit. The young gentleman who just got up, I actually have went around to those different homeless shelters, and I'm like a resource walking center. So I bring them information for jobs and whatnot. But my question actually is three of us, and we put together a housing team. My question is, we want to go on, starting at the east side, and go in and rehab houses. I need more resources or direction, and because we're a homeless ministry, I just need to know if you can guide us somewhere where we can get some information, technical assistance, anything.
So thank you for the work that you do, first of all. And our office can assist you with directing you to resources that the city may have, possibly CDBG funding, or try to get you in a pipeline for that and direct you with the housing and revitalization department. So my office will get with you on the side to discuss that with you, possible options.
Okay, and your homeless task force?
Yes,
will
we
they
also
give me
meet
that
and
too?
we can get that information to you as well too. Okay, thank you so much.
Did Sarah Cobb come in? Okay. She asked if I would read her 2-minute comment in case she was unable to make the meeting. And her comment is, yes, we in the Maxwell, Parker, Van Dyke area would like to see more police in our neighborhood. We would also like speed bumps installed on our newly renovated Parker Street from Coacheville to Mack Avenue. Also, we welcome new residents to our neighborhood. However, we need them to learn how not to speed on Coacheville and Mack Avenue, and that Charlevoix is a one-way street. Finally, to respect the long-time homeowners in the hood, especially the seniors. Then we can all work, live, and grow together in making our hood a comfortable and safe place to live. That is from Sarah Cobb. Maureen Driston come in. Her comment is on May 14, 2019, I sent an email with a letter attached to City Council expressing my concerns at some of the land swap transactions that were taking place at the expense of the community. It's truly another sad day for our residents when neighborhoods are pitted against one another, all in the name of development, while proven disputable tax evading, disingenuous investors like the Maroon family and Michael Kelly are once again rewarded. Meanwhile, those of us who have chosen to stay in the city 26 plus years pay our high taxes, sacrificing services for many of those years while incurring expenses for property and auto insurance are seemingly left in the dust with virtually little or no voice in the plan. The concept of community development benefits is a good and accentual one, but fear it is only being implemented when it is convenient for the city. I can hardly wait to see what development occurs on the Ashland parcels awarded to Michael Kelly, but seriously doubt that I'll still be around to witness it. That concludes the public comments that I have and all of the public comment cards. Are there any comments from any of my colleagues? Council President Pro Tem.
Thank you. Just want people to know that there are several organizations here. We have the Lakeshore Legal Services here, United Community Housing Coalition is here, the Wayne County Treasurer's Office, Board of Review, and I think they already introduced the other departments, but just want to make sure that you all are aware of the resources that are here. And then lastly, we do have this slide up here. If you want to text that information to that number, you'll receive automatic updates to your cell phone on policies, events, and things coming from the Office of District 5. Thank you.
Okay, and also on tomorrow, I will be hosting the Skilled Trades Task Force meeting at the Northeast Family Community Center located at 18040 Van Dyke near Nevada. FCA will be there to talk about the job opportunities that exist with the FCA project, as they have committed to hiring Detroit residents with 4,900 plus jobs, as well as skilled trades jobs, and they will be there tomorrow presenting about the opportunities that will be available to Detroit residents. Also on tomorrow, there will be a Detroit Tigers and City of Detroit will unveil the newly named Willie Horton Drive street sign to honor Detroit Tigers legend and hometown hero Willie Horton at the intersection of Canfield Street and John C. Lodge Service Drive. That will take place tomorrow at 12 p.m. And again, it is at the intersection of West Canfield and Miracle Street. Parking will be available across the ceremony site at the William Clay Ford Field. And is there anything else from any of my other colleagues? If there is nothing else to come before this body, I want to thank everyone for being here, thank the media services, and thank the Horatio Williams Center for allowing us to grace their space and use up their electricity this evening. Thank the pastor for the invocation, and again, thank all of you for attending our evening community meeting. This will conclude our meeting for this evening. Everyone be safe, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. Have a good evening. The meeting stands adjourned.